Hi everyone, this is Tanner here, and welcome to some NFL draft grades. Today we're covering the NFC East, that is the Commanders, Giants, Cowboys, Eagles, and the AFC East, Patriots, Dolphins, Jets, and Bills. And I know a lot of people hear draft grades and they're kind of like, oof, why are you doing that? You don't know how these players are going to be. That's a very fair point, but my thing is, how did these teams go in the process? Did they make the right kind of positional values? I think recently in the NFL, a lot of draft grades I feel like are more applicable because of how advanced NFL scouting is, how much tape we have on these guys. So let's get in and let's start the Washington Commanders. So round one, they go Sonny Styles, the Ohio State linebacker. And here's my thing with the Commanders draft. You came in to this draft an old defense. You came in as a defense last year that really struggled after a really great 2024. The Commanders defense struggled in 2025, and you wanted to get younger. You wanted to get new faces, and Sonny Styles, I think, is going to be a good player. You have him being the new linebacker for Dan Quinn's defense. We saw Dan Quinn kind of work wonders with Bobby Wagner. That captain of the defense. Sonny Styles has great athleticism, the instincts. I'm sure we'll look back at this and we'll look in 4 or 5 years, and we'll see Sonny Styles as someone who has 3 Pro Bowls and whatnot. But my main issue is not trading back. You did not have a second round pick, and I just think that, or a fourth round pick, and I just think that's very detrimental to build up this new defense. You could have traded back. You could have gone on Ruben Bain. I mean, that would have been amazing. You could have gone a great corner. You could have gone a Caleb Banks at defensive tackle. There was so many options. You could have gone Cassius Howell at edge. And I think to walk out Sonny Styles again, I think Sonny Styles is going to be a very nice player. He had that amazing combine. But linebackers in today's NFL just don't have that same impact. I think it's really edge and corners. And I just think the Commanders just really missed with not trading back. I think Sonny Styles himself is going to be a good player. It was just that whole process. And I think this Commanders regime, this is what their third draft with Adam Peters as the GM, Dan Quinn as head coach. They've just had very questionable, um, you know, kind of positional value in the draft here. And yeah, so that was the first pick. They didn't get Antonio Williams. I like Antonio Williams, wide receiver out of Clemson. I get the idea of Terry McLaurin. You have him. But who else do you have? Does this team trade for Brandon Ayuk from the Niners? A lot of unknowns, but I like Williams in the third round. I had him kind of in the fourth round, but I'm not gonna really bash Washington that much. Solid move. Hey, you help Jane Daniels out. Can't complain too much. And I like Joshua Joseph's actually a lot here. The edge rusher out of Tennessee. He was someone that was going round one back in like November. Then he went round 2 or 3. I had him around there. So to get him in round 5 is really nice. I do like getting edge presence on this team. That is something this team struggled with mightily last year. But yeah, so great move here in the fifth round. But then the thing is, after that, you only have that's your last defensive pick. You go for running back, center, quarterback. Okay, cool. But to walk out of this draft for Washington, to say this is, that defense looked old and slow last year. Everyone said that. Everyone said that. You won 5 games. You're going against some tough offenses this year. I mean, you have the Seahawks offense, the Rams. You have, the Jaguars offense. You have teams, in division like Philadelphia. Like, you need that speed and agility. And to only go 2 defensive players, only 2, is disappointing. Now, I do like the players they took. I think Joshua Josephs is a really good steal in the 5th. I think Sonny Styles is a good player. And Sonny Styles was someone I did have going around in that range. Like 7, 8, 9, 10. Like, I do think that was fair. A lot of people loved him. I was not there. But, I don't know. I walk out of this with the Commanders being like, okay, I like the Joshua Josephs of it all and stuff. But I think ultimately this is a C grade for Washington. I don't think this is a D and F. I think they did well enough here with the picks they had. Or not, well, they did. I think they got good steals. And I think that if you said, hey, draft with no trades, if you cannot trade at all in the draft, this is a pretty good draft, all things considered. But the things you can trade in the NFL draft, I think navigating the board is a huge part of what makes great teams great. And they just kind of did not do that. So that's why they get a C grade. I feel very confident about this. And we move on to the Philadelphia Eagles here, who did a really good job navigating the board. They trade up from Mekhi Lemon, the wideout of USC. Apparently, the Steelers were going to draft him at pick 21. The Eagles jumped them. Great job navigating the board there by Philadelphia. As an Eagles fan, I do like this pick overall. It probably means, though, that A.J. Brown has gone off the team, which is just frustrating as a fan, as someone who likes A.J. Brown the way he's played on this Philly team. It is unfortunate, but to get a replacement is really good. Lemon and Brown are different players. Lemon's really good after the catch, and he's kind of in that area of the field. I think he pairs very well with Devontae Smith, and you have the new OC coming in, who's going to run more of that, kind of play action offense here. So I really do like with Sean Mannion as OC. So I really do like the idea of getting a Mekhi Lemon here. I mean, that's a really good pick. A lot of people are like, this is the steal of the draft. I like Jordan Tyson more. I like Cardinal Tate more. I had Mekhi Lemon as the third receiver. So that kind of played out. I did like Tyson and Tate a bit more. But very happy that Mekhi Lemon's an Eagle. He's going to be wearing Nick Foles' number 9. So that is neat. Then the rest of this draft happened. And they get Eli Stowers. Okay, I'm fine with that. My biggest thing is that I think defensively you could have gone with some positions. Safety is a bit of a question mark. You got someone in round 7. Okay, there was, could have gone safety there. You could have gone corner. Understand you have Reek Woolen. You signed him as corner 2. Reek Woolen is very inconsistent from game to game. I would have liked them to invest a bit more in a secondary in this draft. Yes, I understand that Dallas Goedert might get traded. I think there's a lot of good tight ends you could trade for. You talk about Cole Kmet from the Bears possibly being on the trade block. I think there's a lot of solid tight ends you could have gotten instead of drafting one here in round 2. You did get Markel Bell. Don't know much about him to be real, but I always like the idea of going offensive line, getting someone under Lane Johnson, developing this O-line. I also like Cole Payton. He's kind of a do-it-all quarterback. He's kind of like Taysom Hill. He can run, he can throw, he can pass. I do like how this shows that the Eagles offense is getting creative. Like I said, with Sean Mannion coming in, I'm probably going to do a lot of cool, versatile stuff. And I do like the idea of, going with Cole Payton. I do like the idea of them investing in the quarterback room. You go Micah Morris here. You go safety. You go defensive tackle. Someone here, Bernard, who has never played at a college, but I do like the Eagles kind of going with a position like this. You look at Jordan Mailata, who they got from playing rugby. Mailata's turned into a really good player, so a good process there. And then you go edge and off the draft. Overall, kind of some wild card picks on in later round here of Cole Payton and Bernard and whatnot. And I like Mekhi Lemon a lot. I just do wish this team went secondary more. That's my biggest thing. And I walk out as an Eagles fan feeling pretty good. This team is still probably going to win a couple games next year. I do think you have an A.J. Brown replacement. That's great. That's a question mark filled. I just think you could have done a bit more. So I end up coming off the Eagles here with an A-. I'm close with that and a B+, but I think the idea of you jumping the Steelers to get Mekhi Lemon does get us to an A+ range. All right, Eagles to Jets here. First AFC East team. They got David Bailey with their second overall pick, edge out Texas Tech. As someone who got to watch David Bailey play with my own 2 eyes, when this dude's on it, he looks really good. He looks amazing as an edge rusher. He is fantastic. I'll say that. The thing is, was edge a big need for the Jets? Sort of, but not really. I'd argue secondary was. And then the other thing was, I think David Bailey was someone I really liked, like to the Commanders or the Cowboys, kind of in that 10, 9, 8 range, kind of like Sonny Styles, where they're very much really good athletes, but I question a lot about the polish. And David Bailey at 2 is just way too rich for me. Now, I could see him working out and playing very well, but I just thought this was a bit too high here for the Jets. I understand quarterback, like you're not getting Ty Simpson. But even then, like, trade back, you could have gone Ruben Bain. I don't know. I just think you could have navigated the board better. But what I really like this draft is really everything else besides that. And I don't hate the David Bailey pick. Kenyon Sadiq, I really like this. I do. And Omar Cooper Jr. And Sadiq was someone who I really liked in this range. I actually had him going to Carolina, who picked what? Panthers picked at 19. So yeah, I had him going at 19, and he ends up going where? He ends up going 16. So very close. I like Sadiq. He's a very versatile tight end. I'm a bit lower on him than some other people. I had him a bit outside the top 10 players, but still very good. And you get Omar Cooper Jr., who, again, I'm a bit lower on, but I really do like him. And I like how they trade up back into the first round to get him. He's a very smooth player. I see a lot of Keenan Allen, who Keenan Allen is a great player, but just Like I see Omar Cooper playing 7 years in the league, having 1,000 yards, never going like whoa stats, but just being very consistently good. Kind of like late career Larry Fitzgerald. It's when I said I'm lower on Omar Cooper than I'm, comping him to these really good players. I just think he's very steady. And I think this is an argument to say that the Jets have a really good infrastructure on their team offensively and the best in their own division. You have a really good offensive line. You have Brees Hall running back. You have Garrett Wilson as star receiver. You pair him with Omar Cooper, Jr. wide receiver, and Kenny Sadiq. That makes things really fun. And I think you build up the offense this year. You have Geno Smith, a veteran. Does, Geno use, his IQ? Does he maybe kind of revive his career? If not, you put in Cade Klubnik. If not, you draft a quarterback next year ready to go. So I really like the Jets drafting not just for now, for the future. I think the Jets have really good offensive infrastructure. I love D'Angelo Ponce, who's one of my guys in the draft. Tough, physical, makes plays in big moments. I know he's a smaller size corner. I don't think that really matters to me at all. I loved him. That's a great pick, and I love the process of saying, hey, we're going to trade away Sauce Gardner last year to the Indianapolis Colts. Then we're going to use that pick on Kenny Sadiq. Then we're going to draft D'Angelo Ponce to fill the need for Sauce Gardner. Just great stuff by Darren Moji, the GM of this Jets team. Darrell Jackson, really liked him at defensive tackle out of Florida State here. So love that. I like Cade Klubnik here. Klubnik was someone I was low on, but I like a fourth round kind of fly on him. He is someone that I do think kind of struggles sometimes with the rhythm of the game, but you have Frank Reich as the OC, former quarterback. I like that pick overall here. And then Anise Cooper out of Miami, and then VJ Payne you get in the 6th and 7th here. But yeah, I think you walk out the Jets. You walk out with a really good offensive haul. I love Pons. Jackson Jr. is nice. David Bailey, for me, I say, yeah, I'm not in love with that, but I don't hate it. I'm going to go kind of with the Eagles draft. I'm going to go A- for the New York Jets here, where I say this could have been A+ maybe. There's just a couple of mistakes. Really the mistake with Bailey being too high, but a lot to really like here the Jets, and I really want to emphasize that. All right, Jets to Giants here. Let's go with this team. We got Arvell Reese at 5. Kind of can do it all, and I like the idea of the Giants taking him. The Giants were super hard to nail down in mock drafts. Where does this team go? And I like getting Reese, a really good player. I think he can have a lot of versatility. And I love their other pick, Francis Maunoa out of Miami, offensive tackle at pick 10 or 2 first-rounders. I just love the thought process of John Harbaugh playing with the trenches in the Giants. When the Giants won the Super Bowls in the 2000s, a lot of people think it was the Eli Manning and him, the helmet catch and whatever, and the throw to Mario Manningham on the sideline. And yeah, Eli Manning made some clutch plays in those Super Bowls, but Giants had a really good offense and especially defensive line. They're tough. They're physical teams. They were a pain to play. I love the idea of them going back to that trenches, kind of John Harbaugh coming in here as head coach saying, hey, let's go establish a tough physicalness. And I like that here. Maunoa is one of my favorite players, and I think this is a steal. This is a really great pick here, and I love the 2 first-round picks here. I think these guys are going to be really good, kind of franchise staples, Maunoa and Reese. I'm a bit low on Reese, but I still think he's going to be really good. And then you have Colton Hood. I love him. Great player, physical, tough. Makes the plays out of Tennessee. Love that. And to get him in round 2, I'm going in round 1 to Seattle. So what a steal there. And this was a secondary that could have used some help last year. So you get that help. Love that physical, just tough nature that John Harbaugh is implementing. Then you get Malachi Fields, a really nice receiver in round 3. I think there's some good stuff there from him. You want to improve this offense with Jackson Dart. Give him some help. Okay, I like that here. And then Jack Kelly, I was really high on. Surprised he went in the 6th round here. Really just good physicality. I think he's smart. Like the fact that he went in round 6 is a steal. Fun fact, I did a Raiders franchise on Madden. I drafted him, and he played really well. I thought he was good at college. So the fact that he get him in round 6 is a steal. Don't know what to talk about J.C. Davis or Bobby Jamison Travis to be real. But I like going defensive line. You trade away Dexter Lawrence, and you go O-line. Again, talking about the trenches. And I do like them trading away Dexter Lawrence. That was before the draft. But yeah, to get 2 first-rounders, I love Colton Hood on this team. Jack Kelly. This, for me, is a really good draft by the Giants. I think, for me, for the Giants, I'm trying to see if there's anything I'm super critical of. Not really. This was a really tough draft. I'm going to go A+. I'm going to go A+ for the Giants. I think this was a great draft. You get two players I love, really three: Maunoa, Hood, Kelly. Yeah, love it. Alrighty, Patriots here. We got ourselves a very interesting draft. So you go Caleb Lumu, offensive tackle out of Utah. Gabe Yakis here, round two. Eli Radian, tight end. You got a lot of picks here. Here's my thing with the Patriots. I look back at the Super Bowl, and yes, O-line was definitely a need for this team. I do agree, but I also think that you could have gone in free agency. I think you can make a trade. Like, I understand that, but I also think I'm worried about this defense. This defense was very nice last year. A lot of people talking about the Drake May of it all. And yes, Drake May was awesome. MVP candidate at quarterback. The defense was also very good. You know, the Seahawks won the Super Bowl against the Patriots. The Seahawks offense just struggled. I just am worried about that defense regressing a bit. I would love if they got a Cassius Howell round one. I don't know. Caleb Lumu, I think, is a very nice player, but, you know, it sounds like he might play guard. Could have gone on guard in round two, maybe. And then Gabe Yakis here is just not my favorite player. There's a lot of stuff I think he needs to refine. I think he could have gone some other places here. I really like Romello Height, Texas Tech, to give you another option. Then you go tight end round three, and it's like, okay, you have Hunter Henry. Why are you going tight end? I don't know. You could have gone defensive tackle. You could have gone secondary. You then go secondary. It's like the Patriots almost kind of did everything a pick late here. I will say Baron Morton, solid quarterback at Texas Tech, can get away quickly, good backup there. But it's like round one, I think they should have gone edge. Then they go edge next. Then you should have gone, you know, corner. Then you go corner in the kind of next round. So it's like the Patriots almost kind of like one pick too late here. And I don't know. I just think that it was something that I'm like, okay, you know, could you have maybe, you know, kind of flipped that here? If you want to say offensive line, that was a pick round one, okay. But I think there are better players around 2 and 3. I'll be very critical there. I think Gabe Yakis is going to be fine. I just see him being a rotational player. I don't see him being a big impact player. And again, tight end, I think he've gone with a better position. I think if this was like a Keith Abney, who I love, you know, someone else, like a really good corner there, boom, I think you feel better. I think I feel better too. This is kind of how I feel about the Commanders draft. I will say, though, with this team, that I do think they, you know, I do like Cronover with someone like that, like out of Texas A&M. I like him in round 6 here. Morton's a solid backup. And I do look at this Patriots draft and say, okay, it's not like they drafted bad players. I do think they're a reach with Gabe Yakis, Eli Randon. But it's not like a terrible. Like, I had Gabe Yakis probably like early mid-round 3. You take him late round 2. Okay, Bloom, like I said, could have gone someone else. But it's not like, oh my gosh, these teams, it's not like they reached like 3 rounds. You still got solid players. I just think it's kind of the Commanders of, okay, you could have drafted, you could have operated the draft differently, but the product you got isn't terrible. That's what I'll say. You know, in 2 to 3 years, all 3 of these guys, especially, you know, the guys I'm low on, Radian and Yakis, could be good players, but I'm like, were they the best picks? That's where I'm at. So I look at New England. I'm ultimately going to go with a B- here. I do like Caleb Bloom a lot and stuff. I just do not love those second and third picks. I just do think those are really questionable decisions here for the overall kind of team building philosophy and whatnot here in New England. Then we go to Miami. They made a lot of picks on this draft here. I think the easiest way to do this is kind of give my overall thoughts on this draft and then kind of dive into it. I'm going to go B+ with Miami, and we'll talk about why here. So, I like this team going tough physical, right? I think that's a very smart thing. You have John Eric Sullivan, the GM, the new GM here, who's from the Packers. The Packers have had always pretty good trench play. So I like going Caden Proctor round 1. I like, you know, kind of going with, you know, kind of the tough physical players. I love Jacob Rodriguez in round 2. A linebacker who's in the Heisman voting. That is insane. That shows you how good he is. I love that for a captain of the defense for Jeff Hafley, your new head coach here in Miami. I like them getting Chris Johnson, who I really like a lot, going corner round 1, kind of saying, okay, let's kind of build up the trenches. Let's build up kind of, you know, the tough physicalness of this team. I really like that. Kind of my thoughts I have on the Giants. I think where this team loses me and a lot of other people is the offensive stuff here. Caleb Douglas, I thought he should have been a 5th rounder. I'm very low on Chris Bell. Really am. You know, going tight end, okay. But it's like you have Malik Willis, you brought him in free agency. I love that move so much. Should be your next quarterback. He has the playmaking ability to be a great quarterback, but you don't give him that much to work with. I think that the middle of this draft was operated very weirdly. Now it's funny because the Packers, where this regime is from, was really good at navigating the middle of the drafts with wideouts and stuff. So I just look at this and I'm like, kind of scratching my head a bit about where do you go. But then you get Kyle Lewis, who I like a solid amount. Michael Taffy was someone I actually liked out of Texas. Good instincts. I came in the 5th round and whatnot. So I think B plus because I really love the Rodriguez pick. I like these first 3 picks a lot. These 3 not so much. But then here, okay, you're good. And then Kevin Coleman's a really nice pick. Okay, so I think a B plus. And I think the fact that you got, I think 3 players in the first round. Alex Highland Proctor, same with Chris Johnson, Jacob Rodriguez. Those are 3 first round players. You got them here. One of them in round 2. So going to be very high with that. And we only have the Bills and the Cowboys left here. Let's go with the Cowboys here. They steal Caleb Downs to a degree. I had Caleb Downs going around 8, 9, 10. He's a really good player. I just really love this. The Cowboys DC is Christian Parker, who's from the Eagles. He's the Eagles secondary coach. And he did a great job with the Eagles secondary. And I just see this being such a good move here. Actually, want to keep the B plus because I think the Cowboys are B plus grade, honestly. So yeah, Caleb Downs, I think it's just going to work so well with the coaching staff here. Great instincts. I can just see him in the Cowboys color, making big plays. Love it. Then you have Malachi Lawrence here, who I do not like. I have this guy round 3. The fact that you trade with the Eagles, you allow the Eagles to get Mekhi Lemon, I just don't think there's a great draft process here at all. Really don't like this pick at all. I think it's the worst pick of round 1 easily. But then you get, okay, Drew Shelton, who I like in round 4 out of Penn State. Devin Moore, solid. LT Overton, I really liked a lot actually out of Alabama. I had him about round 2 to 3. Bram out of Michigan. Okay, for me, if you kind of flip the LT Overton pick and Lawrence picks, I probably like this better. I had LT Overton higher than most people. But it's the fact that you could have gone another impact player here. Maybe you could have gone corner. Like if you come out with Caleb Downs and another corner here, like a Chris Johnson here, or D'Angelo Ponce. D'Angelo Ponce would have been so fun as a Cowboy. You walk out of this draft saying, okay, go there, and then, hey, we can get some edge, help later, which I do think going edge is good. It's just the play you got. I think they're looking a lot better. But yeah, I think B plus. I think that the Downs and Lawrence pick, the Downs one's amazing. Lawrence, at least you needed edge. At least it's a position of need. I like LT Overton a lot here. So, and I like Drew Shelton. So B plus for the Cowboys here. Kind of my thoughts on a wild draft. And then we have the Buffalo Bills. This team just reminds me so much of those Aaron Rodgers Packers teams where the drafts were just so okay. The most okay drafts here. TJ Parker, and I really do like this move. To be fair, you trade down, you go ahead, you get TJ Parker. I was not a round 1 TJ Parker guy at all. You get him round 2 from trading down. Good process there. You go corner here. I'm not going to try and pronounce that last name. Davison here, CB out of Ohio State, was someone I was very low on. I think there were much, much better options that the Bills could have gone with. You go Jude Borley, offensive tackle. Okay, was the offensive tackle really a need? I don't know. Not really. Skylar Bell I really like a lot. I feel like everyone's liking Skylar Bell out of UConn. Okay, that's a good move. You get Caleb Eames or a linebacker. Okay, yeah. Jalen Kilgore I really like in round 5. And then you kind of just fell the rest of the draft. You go punter. Okay, cool. But just, 2 picks. Like, I look at the Bills as a team that's trying to win the Super Bowl. They're trying to bring the first Lombardi to Buffalo. You have Joe Brady as new head coach. You have Jim Leonard as a DC. Bringing in that kind of Broncos-style defense. Like, this was the, draft to go all in. You have a tough schedule here. Like, go win it all, Buffalo. And you kind of walk out here with, I think, 2 picks. TJ Parker's a fine, solid player. Again, I love the trade down. I think he's solid. A corner where I think there are better options. And a tackle he didn't need it. So, yeah, a very kind of draft for the Bills here. Do I think it's terrible? No. I do like the trade down here. I probably do like this a bit more than Commanders draft because they actually did trade down when I said the Commanders should have. So I'll go C+ with them here for Buffalo. But yeah. So that's everyone. That is my full official draft grades for the East. Let me know what y'all think, and take care.